Tell me what you see when you look at me. Do you see another brother lost in these streets looking for his soul?
Trying to find my soul.
Or do you see another brother searching for lost souls in these streets? A street soldier.
Street soldier.
Here to help you get that chip off your shoulder, warm your colder days and sober your drunken ways, and find a way to help you get over these hurdles placed in our path. And this is not meant to amuse you. This is for all those who have questions but are afraid to ask.
I won't be afraid. I won't be afraid. No. When times get hard, you lose your way. Open your mind and hear what I say.
This is a message for the hard and the soft. To those who tune in weekly and to those who keep an eye out for 8 p.m. on Sundays and turn their radios off. The truth hurts. The cloth has been pulled. We're walking around half dead. Use this show as your IV. Alive and Free is a new movement. We've achieved self-destruction. A street soldier promotes self-improvement.
Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah. Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah.
All right, here we go. They are coming in slowly but surely. There's supposed to be 10 of them. I'll have to find out. Welcome, gentlemen, to the Street Soldiers Barber Shop Lounge. I'm using that metaphor because that may be the only time the brothers get together and talk. Get together and talk. And that's what we do. We go to barber shop when we get our fresh cut and tuck. Now, it's been a while since I've been to the barber shop because I've been cutting my own for a long time, but I do remember what that is like. And I'm using that metaphor because I do want to have this conversation with the men. This is the equivalent of a conversation that we had with the ladies in March during Women's History Month. And I said, I got to do this. But we don't have a Black History. We don't have a Men's History Month, right? We have Men's History Month. So I'm looking for a time to do it. And I thought June would be great because we have Father's Day in June. And so let's do it. Let's do it now. I want to thank all of you for joining. Let's see what else I want to say before I begin this. Oh, the other thing about this conversation, which I think is great, it is that it is intergenerational. I'm big on generation. It's family. You know, you got granddaddy. Sometimes you got great granddaddy. You got a little. So we're gonna put all of us in the room, and we're gonna have this conversation about the men they admire and have been influenced by, and also the issues that men are facing today. And we're gonna see what comes out of it. I put part 1 on here because I have a feeling that we might need to do a part 2 down the road, depending on what we hear today from our gentlemen. And let's see, is there anything else I want to throw in before we begin? And look, who did I invite? Well, I invited my brothers, brothers I love, brothers I care about. You know, if I had my way, we wouldn't have enough room in the barbershop to do that this time around. So I invited my fraternity brothers. I invited my Greek brothers. I invited my consortium brothers. I invited alumni of Alive and Free. My son is here. You can't get no closer than that as we begin this conversation. So let's have fun with it. And as I just say your name real quick, just wave your hands. I'll make sure everybody's here. Let's begin with Ashanti Branch. Say, what's up, Ashanti? What's up, brother? Derrick Butler.
Yo.
What's up, bro? What's up? Dejohn Thompson, the youngster in the house. What's up? Representing all the young people under 20. All right. Lowell Davis. See what I got on Lowell? Got on the frat stuff. Okay, my frat brother. All right. Malcolm Mobley. Morgan State's in the house. Where's Jermaine? Is Jermaine here? Because I can't. Is Jermaine here?
Yes. Hey, Jermaine.
Yes, sir. I'm right.
I only got so many squares on the checkerboard. What's up, man? What's up?
Blessings.
What's up, my brother? Garey Thompson.
Nope, not yet.
Garey ain't here?
No.
Garey, you tripping. Okay. All right. I'll get him in. Okay. Stefan Wilson, San Diego's in the house. And is Ayinde here?
Yes.
Oh yes, I'm here. Can you
What's up,
see me? Oh, my
Ayinde?
camera's off. Uh-oh.
There
Okay.
he
Can you hear me
is.
okay?
There he is. Boy,
Yeah.
that's a clean cut looking brother. You just love somebody. They'll
I
tell you who they
appreciate it.
are. Garey, G-Biz, Bizer.
Nope.
Biz ain't here?
Biz ain't here.
Man, I don't know what I'm gonna do, man. Come on, man. Come on. All right. Okay. All right. So while
So before you get started, I just want to say how delighted I am to see everyone. I need to say, wait a minute, what happened to Malcolm? There he is. Okay. Ayinde, Second Lieutenant Ayinde, it's so great to see you. And Malcolm, I just want to say to you, I mean, I'm watching you. Every time I see you, you've got the beard. Now you got the beard and the mustache. You have gone from this little boy to every time I see this man stuff is coming out more and more. I'm like, oh my goodness, he's just growing up right in front of me. Oh my goodness sakes. Anyway, it's good to see you. Jermaine, is good to see you. Oh my goodness. Ashanti. Okay. Dejohn, I see you every Tuesday. I'm looking to see you. But I can't wait to hear you and sharing and Stefan and Derrick. Good to see you. It looks like Garey's coming in the room.
Ready? Can I have it now? I'm trying to get Garey and I'm trying to get G-Biz. And I'm just texting them. I'll figure they'll come in when they come in. So we're gonna follow the script here. Like I said, I've been looking forward to doing this. And a couple of folks actually said, thank you for doing it, because this is something that we don't normally do. And yes, the barbershop metaphor fits, but this is the street soldier barbershop. So the barbershop, I've been in there before, stuff comes up, you know, get a little bit of advice, pats on the back, a few jokes. It does not, maybe your experience it does, you know, generally go deep. In the street soldier barbershop, we go deep. We go deep. So as things come up, please do not be, please be willing to share, because I really do want to know the answers to these questions. And that's why I've asked you to be part of this.
Okay, that's G-Biz, and I didn't say hey to Lowell. Sorry.
Is Biz back? Is Biz here? Great, wonderful. So now I'm just missing Garey. Okay.
Doc,
okay.
what's up? Doc, how you doing?
What's up? What's up, Biz?
Hey.
Is in the house.
Hey.
And what you driving?
Hey.
What you driving? You know, what you driving?
So I'm not driving. But I did just finish with I just got done with the premiere party for the season 2 of the web series that I'm starring in.
Okay.
We're just beginning the series. Yeah,
man,
season 2
big
just started.
star. I don't know if we can have you in here, man. You might be too big for us now.
What you mean? Y'all stop, Doc. Man, come on, man. You are, hey, you know.
All right, let's keep going. We gotta go. Everybody will get their turn. So here's what we're gonna do. You will introduce yourself as you answer this first question. Okay.
Okay.
So the first, because we got a lot to cover tonight. Hold on, Bill.
Okay.
Let me get going. So the question that we're gonna begin with is, talk about the men that you admire and have been influenced by. And I'm taking notes on all of this, okay? The men that you admire and have been influenced by, and that at the same time, you can say who you are and what you do, make that the small part, and then get to the men that you admire and have been influenced by. So Biz, since you've been talking, jump on in.
Okay. My name is G-Biz. Also go by Garey. Let me I'm pulling the camera closer for this one, bro. Let me go ahead and set it. Is this okay? Can you see me?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Main thing, I can hear you.
Yeah. You know, as a young man, I am extremely thankful that God gave me uncles. You know, my mother had good men around her, and I'm thankful for my uncle Clarence Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Thankful for my uncle, Andrew Watson. I'm
Okay.
thankful for my uncle, Doc Watson. I'm thankful for the men that were around me,
Got it.
who were able to not give me game, but give me wisdom. Doc, you know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
You know, they gave me wisdom. And I'm thankful for what they were able to teach me just in terms of understanding who you are as a person and being confident in who you are as a person. You know, especially in your growth, in your maturation process as an adolescent. You tend to second, third, and even sometimes 4 or 5 times guess a question your thought process. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
You're not sure who you are, so you question the things that you think about yourself, which a lot of times alters the way that you move. But see, as you continue to grow, you trust your intuition. But I'm thankful for the guidance that I had that told me to trust it from a young age, because had I not, I wouldn't be the man that I am today. And that's not to say that would be a bad thing, but it certainly would have been different. I'll say that much. It would have been different.
Biz, we got a bunch of folks.
Yes.
You are like me, or radio show host, so you can talk. So we're going to keep it moving.
Go ahead.
Keep it moving and mute yourself, and we're going to go to Stefan.
All right.
Stefan.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Stefan Wilson, San Diego, California. My group is Overcoming Gangs and Beyond, Live and Free San Diego. The men that influenced me were the men in my neighborhood, Mr. Jimmy Cootie, Mr. Womack.
No, hold on. It starts with the men that you admire. Okay. That's the first question. And have been advised. So these are men that you admire.
Well, these are men that I admire. Okay. Definitely. Mr. Jimmy, Mr. Cootie, Mr. Womack, Mr. Martin. They were men that I saw get up and go to work every day.
Okay.
They were men in the neighborhood that when you walk by, you said Mr. Womack or Mr. Jimmy or Mr. Cootie. Not like today when I'm walking down the street at 50 years old and they say, "What's up, OG?" So I admire those men because they always would give me, as G-Biz said, they would give me wisdom instead of game. They would tell me, "Hey, I seen you down there with the boys. I think you need to pull away a little bit." They would let me know what time it is and let me know that I was okay. Even when I thought I wasn't okay, they would let me know. Don't worry about what they said. You okay. So those are the men that I admired. Of course, my dad, Dr. Tommy Wilson, who was an educator. And he, now that I'm older, and when I learned the Live and Free model, I realized that my dad that was his whole thing was keep me alive and free. So I hear Lady Estelle talk about not letting not letting your kids go certain places, and you guys talk about that. My dad was like, now I understand where he was coming from. So yes.
Okay, all right. Ayinde, Chism, men that you admire and have been influenced by at your young and tender age. But you ain't that young no more. Go on, playing.
How you doing, Dr. Marshall? Mrs. Stell, always good to see you. Have to give you a shout out because it's so good to see you, and everybody else on the call. It's a loaded question, Doc, because there's just so many. But I definitely have to say, my father, my grandfather, especially looking at those generations where nothing really came easy. Not to say that it does now, but working, providing for their family, sacrificing. You, Doc, seeing how you started the program, Omega Boys Club, and have impacted so many people. Jack, so many people that it really just spreads on really far and wide. Even the UPS driver who used to work the route that came by my street. You know what I mean? Just positivity and seeing people doing what they're supposed to do and promoting something other than violence or other than different kind of activities that create a detriment to society. And all those have an impact. The influences span far and wide between family and the people that I don't know. That's why there's just so many people, because they all have an influence in their different and unique way. But nonetheless, it's an influence and a positive one at that. Malcolm X, Dr. King, even though they weren't alive during the time that I came into this world, being able to see the legacy that they had, which impacts me directly, those all have major influences on me. Definitely keep it short.
Thank you, Ayinde. Thank you. Malcolm Mobley. Oh, hold it. Ayinde, you didn't say who you are or what you're doing right now. I can see it, but
sorry.
Just real quick.
Ayinde, let's start over. Ayinde Chism, originally from San Francisco, California, currently living in Columbus, Mississippi, second lieutenant in the Air Force, awaiting pilot training that's going to start in August.
And just got your second degree in physics from Tuskegee.
Yes, sir. Just walked last Sunday in Montgomery, receiving my second degree in physics, and also got to walk for my aerospace degree since they didn't have a graduation last year. So very, very thankful and blessed for that.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations, brother. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Malcolm Mobley, your turn.
Hey, Dr. Marshall. Hey, Mrs. Stell. Hey, everyone. Hey, Ann. How's everybody doing? It's good to be here. I am Malcolm Mobley. I am a electrical engineering major at Morgan State University and Alive and Free Omega Boys Club alumni, and of course, a 100% college preparatory alumni as well. A big shout out to Mr. Shell. But some men that I look up to in my life is undoubtedly, my dad, of course, Dr. Marshall. But my dad, especially because, growing up, I just watching him, he was always such a selfless person. And that one time specifically that really showed this was I was walking from the train station, Van Ness Station with my dad. It was like especially cold this day. He had on like 2 jackets, and his outer jacket was this Tuskegee Airman jacket that he loved so much. It was like his favorite jacket. And we walked by this old homeless dude. He was just shivering, freezing. His pants was hanging off, like he had barely no clothes on. And my dad, he just starts, handing me stuff out of his pockets. Like he had like 30 pockets. Like my dad had a lot of pockets. So he just started handing me his phones, his wallet, his like all his receipts and whatever he kept in his pockets. He's like, "Here, hold this, Malcolm." He takes off his jacket and gives it to him. I'm like, "Dad, that's your Tuskegee Airman jacket." And he like like the way he handled the jacket is like it's like you think that the fur on the jacket was made out of like $10,000 alpaca or something. So that moment, like that really made me admire my dad way more than I already did. And to end it, most recently, Fred Hampton, because I just saw the Judas and the Black Messiah movie, and I did a little bit more research on Fred Hampton. Like I was only 21 years old, and he had the kind of influence he did in all of Chicago. So you, my dad, Fred Hampton. Thank you.
Well, I don't know if I want to put in that category, but Fred Hampton, amazing. And folks who are listening, who don't know who Fred Hampton is, well, Judas and the Messiah, actually the movie that was just out, you get the Fred Hampton story, but go back and read. An amazing man. I'm glad you got to know about him, Malcolm. Derrick Butler.
Hello, everybody. What's up, Doc? So like I just saw you.
You did.
Good evening, Derrick Butler. I am in the Bay, but originally from Georgia. I'm a Georgia boy, and I've been in the Bay for about 20 years. Got my Bachelor of Science in marketing. I'm executive MBA from St. Mary's, Go Gales, and currently the CEO of a startup right in the Bay Area called Crispy. I am absolutely, I grew up admiring my 11 uncles who had a huge influence on my life. My mom was the only girl with 11 brothers. And so in Georgia, you can imagine how much influence they had on my life, growing up. And my dad, of course, who was a military man who spent 30 years in the Army as an officer. And so I was a military brat. And so we moved a lot. And I really admired, him and seeing him wake up every morning he would do it every morning at 5 a.m. Wake up and do something and get to work. I'm influenced personally by moguls. I'm a businessman, so I'm really into moguls like Damon John, Tope Awatana, which is the CEO of Calendly, even Jay, what he does in regards to the branding and the building of businesses. And I've always knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So entrepreneurs are the ones that really influence my life, because I feel like, especially being a Black man, the business side, it was always important to me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Oh, and by the way, I got to mention, and a proud member of the Berkeley Alumni Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi.
I was gonna say, if you didn't get that in, boy, all your frat brothers, you didn't kill both of us.
Right.
Thank you, D. All right, Ashanti Branch.
Hello, hello. Good evening, everybody. Good to see you all, Dr. Marshall.
Wish I had hair like that, man.
Good to see you.
Really do. Wish I had hair like that.
Man. I'm really thankful to be here. I think thinking about this question was actually, I guess, my grandfather growing up. My father died before I was born, so hearing the men in this room who have talked about their fathers, I always wanted to have a father growing up, but that wasn't the cards I was dealt. So my grandfather did the best he could, but he was really stoic. He was a veteran. He was a pastor of my church. He really never. He was just always doing stuff. I never got to see him have multifaceted part of himself. The first time I saw my grandfather show an emotion was when his father died, and I thought something. I was like actually shocked when I saw him show an emotion, because I had never seen him show any emotions. And so that was really interesting. So, but I think right now in my life, I think there's some men who I want to name. Sean Dove, who was the founder of the Campaign for Black Male Achievement. Right. Chris Emden, who's an educator, who does a lot of work around helping to reform education and also making space for hip hop in education, that we can use hip hop as a form of learning and education. Tony Porter from A Call to Men, really doing work around violence against women, preventing violence against women, and really working with the men to do that. And Dr. Marshall, I've been listening to you since I was in high school, and I was in my house listening to the radio. And I think every once in a while I try to call in, I'll be like, the phone just be ringing and the cord to be wrapped around the house trying to wait for the call to answer. And I just want to let you know that I've been watching you from afar, and I'm so glad to know you, and I appreciate you. And so I'm complete with that.
And tell people what you do currently, shortly, because we're going to come back to your work. So just tell people what you do.
Yeah, I'm Ashanti. I run a program called Ever Forward. It's a mentoring program for young men, middle school and high school. And we were featured in a documentary called The Mask You Live In, about masculinity. And so, and there's a campaign we run called the Million Mask Movement, which hopefully you'll participate in sometime tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you. Dejohn Thompson, the youngster in the house. Come on, Dejohn.
Sure.
Look at it.
Hi, Dr. Marshall, and hi, everybody here. My name is Dejohn Thompson. I just graduated from Garey High School a couple of days ago. About to be a freshman at Texas Southern in the fall. So yeah, I feel like my admiring person situation is like kind of a bit different than what I've heard so far. I feel like a lot of the time, like from me growing up, I didn't really have that person to admire or that man to admire. Like a lot of the people in my community and like even my father kind of was like, didn't have like these big things that they were doing, like my dad was in and out of jail. He kind of was like in the street scene. So that's kind of all I seen. And so were like a lot of people that were around in my community. So I feel like I really didn't have that person to admire from a really young age. And I feel like my dad is some person that's also really influenced me, because me seeing everything he's been through and the outcomes of the things he does kind of made me feel like, oh, you have to be something different than this. And also my dad used to like really always tell me like, oh, I want you to be better than me. I want you to be better than me. And I didn't really know what that mean, but it's like, he kind of really guided me in that as best as he could. Like, you can be all in the streets, or you can try to be something you're not, because, this is a really deep pit to fall into, and it's really hard to get out of that. So I feel like my dad has really influenced me in a way, but also now I feel like somebody I would say who has admired me will have to be Deontay Burden, who works at 100% college prep. I would say that because Deontay is like the first ever like Black man that I met who's like, and I've actually met him this year or last year, but he's like the first ever Black man that I met who like is just who firstly went to college, who is just like really confident and it's just like really motivated in terms of like building his brand and becoming successful on his own. And that's really motivating to me, for me, because, you know, I get that person to talk to, I get that like knowledge and experience. And I feel like that just over the course of me knowing him has really helped me a lot. And it felt like something I've needed throughout my upbringing. So yeah, thank you.
Nice job, Dejohn. Nice job. Jermaine King.
Doc, how you doing? Thank you for having me here tonight, and blessings to everybody for being here. This is definitely an important event and something that we definitely need to have a conversation about. So my name is Jermaine King. I've been with Alive and Free for over 30 years now. I think it is. I've been in the education field and the community activism field for over 30 years. I currently work for an organization called the Phoenix Project, where we work with youth from 14 to 24 years old around trauma-informed care and helping them navigate the system and just trying to help them with any services that they might need. And I'm just happy to be here. So thank you so much. I would say the people, the men that I admire, it's funny because you know that I didn't admire nobody when I was younger. I had nobody to look up to, but then you turned me on to Malcolm X. Y'all turned me on to Malcolm X and had me get a better understanding of Martin Luther King and other, you know what I'm saying, activists and stuff around the world. And it really just helped broaden my horizons. And the people that I do look up to are you, Jack, Preston Worthy, Ronnie Hatter, Miss Maxwell, Miss Norris, Miss Estelle. You know, that's y'all the folks that have always been there for everybody. That's just the bottom line. And it's funny because I've had people ask me sometimes, when they say I kind of go out my way to try when I'm working with young people and say, well, why are you doing all that? You don't have to do all that or whatever. And I'm like, well, that's how I was raised. That's what, you know, people went out their way for me to help me get my stuff together. And that's what I got to continue to do. So I got to give it back. So, yeah, I just want to leave it like that and just say thank you for having me.
You got it, bro. You got it. Okay. Who have I missed? Is Garey here?
Lowell. Did we hear from Lowell?
Lowell, that's who it is. Lowell LD, Lowell Davis. Come on, Lowell.
All right, good evening, everyone. Mic check, can you hear me okay?
Oh yeah, 1, 2, 1, 2, mic check.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Lowell Davis III, and I'm kind of the jack of all trades, master of several, but currently I work in the beer industry, managing a warehouse for America's first craft brewery located in San Francisco.
Nice.
And let's see, as far as men that have influenced me and that I admire, got to start with my father because he was an awesome foundation in my life. And growing up, at times I questioned some of his strictness on me, but once I got older, I understood the method to the madness. So I thank him and am very thankful for him showing me what it is to be a man and to stand on that first cardinal principle as a man of Omega Psi Phi. Someone else that's been influential to me was a coach I had in high school. He was my pole vault coach my sophomore year. His name is Coach Jim Cashler. And he was very influential because he taught me about taking what's inside of me and kind of taking it to the next level, believing in myself. And outside of coaching, I saw how he behaved in his personal life. And it was just an excellent motivating factor that kind of took me to the next level in track and field, and also inspired me to be a coach. I coached at the high school level for 9 years at San Lorenzo High School.
Mm-hmm.
And, that taught me to, pay it forward, because we get knowledge, and for us to keep it to ourselves does no one any good. We have to pass it along and make sure that the next generation, gets that same benefit. And the third person I want to highlight is Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Mm.
And he's someone I admire because he's on point. Every time you see him, he's sharp, very well put together. In his speech, he is always very methodical and takes time to, think about what he's saying, and is very effective with the messages that he gets across. And, he puts the fear in some people just when he speaks. And not that fear is a good thing, but it definitely gets people's attention. And I think that's something that we need in our community. We need leaders, but we need to also realize that we are the leaders that we're looking for.
Thank you, Lowell. Thank you. Malcolm Marshall.
Hey. Well, there's so many people. I wrote down a few. By the way, I'm Malcolm Marshall. I'm Dr. Marshall's firstborn, and I am a multimedia journalist and editor. And I run a nonprofit out here in Richmond, California. It's a community news nonprofit, and we publish a community newspaper. And I'm a musician also, a DJ and singer and songwriter, and trying to play guitar. I'm gonna say Jack Jackwell first. He's first on my list because for all of you who know Jack, ain't nobody like that man on planet Earth, except, maybe if we would go back in time and we met John Brown, maybe that's Jack Jackwell reincarnated, Jack, he's just different, but let's call the elephant in the room. He's also white, and he's been there with us since day one. So everybody needs to know a Jack Jackwell, because if you didn't, you might think it's not possible to be like that. But it's very possible if you really want to, and Jack Jackwell is the proof. So he's always been on my list of people I've admired just because he is fearless, courageous, and just so there's no one like him. I would say my uncle Jerry Marshall. He's just got this spirit and this vibe, and when he talks to you, I see him talk to other people, they just want to soak in what he's got. He's just got this beautiful spirit. Anton Barriola, who Doc you know very well. I've always admired him. The brother is clean 100% of the day. I don't know who wakes up and who goes to sleep clean and on point all the time. But he's just the cleanest brother I know. And I mean from head to toe, beard game, fade, but it's not egotistical. What I mean? Like, women love that brother, but he's not a player. It's like he's just a loving man. I love that about him. Vernon Whitmore, he's my mentor, my business mentor in the newspaper business. I love him because he's just a great businessman, and he would just sit me down and be like, hey, you don't need to choose that side. You don't need to be on that side. They both got money, right? I'm like, yes, they do. And he knows how to just stay neutral and be friends with everyone. And it just positions him great as a businessman. Barack Obama's on my list just because I think he's got to be one of the coolest human beings that ever exist. That dude makes no sense to me. He's just... I don't get starstruck, but I mean, that's a bad man. My father, obviously, Doc, you're my hero. You'll always be my hero. I'm just, thank you. And then, I'm going to say Black men in general, especially elders. we go what we have to deal with, we have to deal with just to maneuver through daily life and build and get somewhere. I mean, and not just us right here, but historically, all that we overcome. And I think there's an actor, Mahershala Ali. I'm going to get his quote wrong, but he talks about the difference between white men and black men. And I'm going to paraphrase, but he says, white men play offense, all the time. Black men, we play defense, and we have to do it really smooth. You know what I mean? And we'll never get the credit. We don't need the credit, but just what we do on a daily basis is so. Hey, we some bad brothers. That's all I can say.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I'm gonna give mine. And I'll start with my father. And I'll tell you the reason, a lot of reasons, but the main reasons I've always credited my dad with every Father's Day, I would call my dad and say, and because of the work that I do, this phrase was always important to me. I always tell him, thank you for not taking penitentiary chances with your kids. I always said that to him, because I don't know what I would have done with my dad. I'm telling you, I grew up in South Central. Now the movies you see are real, okay? All them hood movies from the 90s, yes, the curtains are really drawn, and the shootouts really happen. And that's where I grew up. And so I don't know how I would have survived and made it through that without him. So, and I did. I would tell him, he didn't know what I was saying. What you mean taking penitentiary chances with you? Boy, he called me Joe Jr. because I'm a junior. And I would tell him, Dad, you don't understand. I work with young people, who don't have it, Dad. It's a big deal. And I realize now you could have sold dope. I mean, you could have held on a bunch of stuff, but no. And so I credit him for teaching me two things: that men work and men take care of the kids. That was my first definition of a man. Men work and men take care of the kids, because I got to see it. And of course that rubbed off on me. So my dad first. And then I got to move to Malcolm X, man. I'm telling you, Malcolm X. I mean, I was doing all right, but he took me to the next level. And reading his autobiography when I was 19 made me just charted my life's course for me. And then I learned, and he opened the door to me for all this history that I didn't even know. I didn't know nothing about. God Almighty, it's just incredible. But Alex Haley writing that book and his talking about his life and his journey, just charted the course of my life. So I mean, I could name everybody else, but he was the one who opened the door to the Martins. I mean, to the to everybody else in history in the past that now I admire so much. So obviously, I grew up in a time. I used to call them the 3Ms: Malcolm, Medgar, and Martin were right contemporaries with me, and so seeing them and their struggles. Yeah, I'll stop right there. I'll start with Dad, Malcolm, and the men I grew up with and later learned. And folks who are watching, I want you to understand, I knew none of this before. I didn't know what they were going to say. I didn't pick them, because of their backgrounds. I just picked some brothers that I knew and said, "Come on in here." So their stories, what's coming out is actually this is totally unscripted. It's wonderful to hear the influences that each of you have had and the people that you have admired. And as you were doing this, I thought it's nice to say that, because I don't know that the people that you admired or were influenced by have any idea of the impact they had on you. I don't think they know. And I almost wish they were listening, because a lot of times you have no idea of the admiration that other people have for you and the impact and the influence they have on you. So it was great to hear that. It was great to hear. And just thank you for sharing all of that. I want to move into the second part and And Malcolm, you sort of led us into this, and Ashanti, you said a couple of things too. And I don't know if there is a perception, or maybe there is, and maybe there isn't. But the question I wrote is what issues are men facing today? And I'm going to leave it at that, and we can begin to compile a list of that. Sometimes I get the perception that, well, I don't think anybody don't think we don't face anything, but I don't know that folks, well, I'll just let it flow out and we'll find out from your mouths. And we got our youngest in here is Dejohn. You 18? Yeah, you 18 yet? Oh, okay, we got 18. And I know we got 20s, we got 30s, we got 40s. And I ain't gonna tell you all I am. Anyway, we have the elder in the house. We got some generations in here. We got decades in here. So it'd be great to hear the perspective from each of us, wherever we are right now, about the issues that you believe that we are facing in the year 2021. So, and actually, some folks that couldn't be here, I actually talked to, gave me a couple too. So I'm gonna, when it comes to time, I'm gonna mention theirs. But Lowell, why don't you start and talk about the issues that you feel that Black men are facing today? And these may be issues that we're still facing, or new issues, or whatever. Why don't you start? Again, I'm making my notes, and we'll see what comes up.
All right, I'll say one of the first or leading topics that on my mind is safety. Over the past, well, as far as back as I can remember, Black men have been getting shot and killed by the police over the past year, or the past few years. We've seen an increase, and not a decrease necessarily, or at least an increase with the media coverage and attention. You know, probably because they're getting caught on cell phones now. But it's almost a reminder that no matter what you do, no matter what you wear, no matter what kind of car you drive, how you're dressed, this brown skin can always lead to something other than you planned for your day. So the weight of just navigating life on a daily basis, when that's something that's always lurking in the shadows, it can be difficult.
Got it. Okay. And by the way, you can give us one. We got plenty of time to come back for another. So you don't have to. That's good. We can start off with, and we'll come back. Dejohn, issues that you feel that we as Black men are facing today.
That's a good question. I feel like issues that we as Black men are facing would have to be a lack of resources. I feel like resources can kind of mean anything, but like resources as in people to even like look up to, like immediate people to look up to, like stuff like programs and just stuff like that. I feel like there's really not much of that. Just like seeing in my community, I feel like everyone's kind of just stuck in this bubble, and it's really not hard to get out, because I feel like once you kind of in here, and especially being Black, I feel like you're really not looked at unless there's like something being covered by the media or something like really horrific happening that people don't really care. And I just feel like a lot of like the lack of resources will have to be something that's like really a problem right now, because it makes a lot of people miss out, and it makes people feel like they can't do a lot of things.
Okay, good. Malcolm, you give one.
Me or
you?
Malcolm Marshall?
Oh, sorry, Malcolm Mobley.
All right. Yeah. So some problems that Black men are facing. Man, I'd say it's one problem that I've noticed is kind of being like I notice this like whenever I say I'm like walking down the street, past like another Black guy, it's all like it's always like having to. It's not even just with black guys, but it's more often. Like it's always like having this trying to have to prove like who's more macho. Like whenever I'm walking past another guy, like another brother, like it's always some tension in the air, you know. And I've noticed this so much that when I do walk past another black guy, like I always try to lighten the mood, like say hi, hello, you know. Like and then when it does happen with a white guy, it's very rare. I'm like, like dang, is the conditioning that deep like within my community, you know, like where like like it makes it hard to say hi to somebody else, you know. But so it's really like I say it's that macho man mentality, and I won't even say that's just with black guys, but men in general. But I tend to notice it more within my community because I'm in my community.
Got
But
it.
yeah.
Good. Okay. Okay. Derrick?
One thing that really sticks out with me is male bashing. You know, the commercial that really sticks in my mind is the Allstate commercial where you got the guy that's driving down the road, and the emblem says, "I've got the brains, you got the brawn," right? And most of the time, when we're starting to see these TV shows, it's like the guy is the comic relief. Like they're showing that, you know, oh wait, you're not that smart. Let me think for you. And this is the first time that, you know, I'm really starting to notice this, like in most of the shows, most of the commercials, the guys are becoming the comic relief. Like, oh, you can't think, let me think for you. And I don't know what happened. It's just like in society, it just changed. But that's the one that really sticks with me.
Okay. Okay, good. Stefan.
Okay, so for me, I'm definitely gonna go with what that was safety. That's a big issue
froze
for me
up.
because
Hold on. Stefan, back up because
did I freeze?
Yeah, just for a minute. Go ahead. Start
Okay,
again.
so I was saying like one of the other brothers said was safety. My group Overcoming Gangs Beyond deals with a lot of guys on the street. So like he said, like one of the young brothers said, macho attitude. Um, and I got to give a shout to mask. That's a big issue for black men right now because a lot of us are living under that mask. Lack of opportunities, unemployment, mental health. We got to talk about it. I'm hoping soon. Let me get my plug called The Untold Story about black men and mental health, and get a bunch of brothers to tell their story about mental health, and then self-respect because this seems to be a big issue in the community. When we see each other, there seems to be this thing where you disrespected me, I disrespected you, and as an alive and free family member, I know that it's self-respect. So we got to get that back. So that's why.
Got you. Okay. Biz, you there? And is Biz there?
He might be driving.
He's here, but he's not. I don't know if how present he is. See his name, no picture, and you know that's all. If he hears us, he'll be back. Okay.
Well, see, he's a star. You know, he's not playing with. No. Okay, Ayinde.
Going off of what Mr. Stefan was talking about kind of self-identity, and I think a lack of self-love and understanding who we are and our self-worth. I see sometimes, and even going off of what Malcolm was talking about, it's like sometimes you walk past the street and it's kind of this whole macho contest, and sometimes like I think a lot of the times like a lot of the adverse and negative energy we put towards other people that look like us, and that's where it shouldn't be directed because it creates further destruction in our community. And I think a lot of the times in terms of identity, how we see ourselves, we should be okay being who we are. I see a lot of people once they get like a little money or a little come up, they want to go and act like other people that they see on TV or what's put out there on social media, and that's not really like the definition of success and making it. And I think that there's this false narrative and a lot of posturing that's going on, just to try to make ourselves seem worthy. And so I think there needs to be like an internal look as to who we are and what we're truly about, going back and looking at our ancestors and our lineage and seeing what true royalty is and all that comes with that. So
thank you. Ashanti.
Thank you. I really took a lot of what I heard some of the other men say, and definitely when Malcolm talked about that macho need to, when you walk by somebody on the street, I think, and I heard Derrick talk about the bashing, and Stefan talk about the mask, and Ayinde talk about the posturing. One of the things I think that is an issue facing men today is a lack of emotional vocabulary. I think we have a lack of emotional intelligence and a lack of emotional vocabulary. I think most men don't think that they are emotional because they don't know that anger is an emotion, right? And so therefore, if you can be angry all the time, you can keep people away from you, because in where I live, where I grew up, anger gets you respect, right? Or it'll make people afraid of you enough that they don't bother you. So either you're getting respect or it's a fear, whatever it is this idea that I keep people away, then I don't have to like navigate all the stuff that I don't have to worry about nobody asking me no personal questions. I don't have to worry about getting in my business. I don't have to worry. So I think that if we had a more robust vocabulary and a way, tools to deal with emotions in a healthy way, because they're coming out. We may transform all of them into anger or laughing about it or not caring about it, apathy, but it's coming out. And so that's something that I believe in, and something I've been working on a lot with the young men I work with is like, if you can name, I heard a phrase that if you can't name it, you can't tame it. So therefore, if you're dealing with emotions, somebody asks you how you're doing, you say fine all the time. Well, if you're always fine and you're always cool and you're always good, when are you not? And if you don't know how to navigate and explain that when you are, then oftentimes we bottle it up until it explodes, and usually on people, against people we love or actually we care about, or when we're in weakness, when we're drinking, when we're playing, when we're partying, when whatever, it comes out in these unhealthy ways. So I'll stop there, but that's my context around what I think we're facing.
Jermaine King.
Hey. I'll say my main thing is trauma. We have all been traumatized. We have all been traumatized in some type of form or another. A lot of us have experienced the same type of trauma in a lot of ways, but we all have our different forms of trauma as well too. So education, we are not treated equally in the education field. We still know that to this day. Teachers get fed up with us and they try to want to throw us in special ed so quick and just get us out the classroom, and that be somebody else's problem, instead of really trying to work with the person and help them with the situation that's going on to see if it can be a better outcome overall. But my main thing really though is just the trauma that we've been having to deal with is Black people in general, and especially as Black men. One of the things that I found, since I do a group over in Sunnydale every Wednesday from 10:30 to 12, and it's a life skills class. And one of the things that I kind of, when we deal with trauma, I get a much better response from the students, from the young people, as opposed to going through, okay, let's talk about banking today. Let's talk about computer literacy today. Let's talk about this today. But when we deal with the stuff that they're going through every day on an everyday basis and level, that's when I get a whole lot better response. And it just takes me back to when I was growing up. The people that we looked up to were the dope dealers, the people that were out there, getting their money in a not necessarily right way to get it. And it took somebody, like you and Jack, to come into my life to help me get my life together, so I could see that wasn't the way that I wanted to live my life, and that wasn't the way to go. So My big thing is just dealing with this trauma and trying to help these young folks navigate the system as best as what they can do for themselves. Because I'm not trying to make anybody do anything. I want you to do better for yourself. You gotta want to do better for yourself than I do. So I'll leave it at that so we can pass it on to somebody else.
Okay. Malcolm Marshall.
Doc, tell me the question one more time.
The question was, let's see, the issues that men are facing today in 2021.
You know, I'm gonna say issues around gender roles in society, and just how we just relationships with women, how we relate to women as men. And when I say gender roles, I'm just, for example, do we pay all the time? Do we let somebody pay all the time sometime? And what does that mean either way? And what does that mean about our manhood? And I feel like all that is in flux right now as a society. There's no like established norms like maybe there were in past generations where men did this, women did this, and that was just it. And I feel like men we're still trying to, and women too, I'm sure, but I know I'm always trying to figure out where we at with this stuff, because it seems to be evolving all the time. Does that make sense?
It makes sense because that's what you said. Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully I said it right.
I'm going to read one that I got, and he couldn't be on the call, so because he's out of town, and he says, "Hey Doc, I think it's a great idea to highlight men, especially from different ages and the different challenges. Me and my buddies were just talking about why men are always so focused on achievement." And a lot of that has to do with not being valued in society. And that was interesting when he said that, not being valued in society. That was, unfortunately, I won't be able to join the call. So I texted back and I said, I like your thoughts about achievement and value. Could you elaborate on that a little more? He says, basically, Black men don't feel valued in the world. Wow. We're not allowed to be weak or vulnerable. Black men who do the right thing are rarely celebrated because people say that's what he's supposed to do. Nobody is really checking for us, including other Black men. So we often see our validation through accomplishments. It's like through our accomplishments, like our stat sheet. And that is from Jamal. Mid-20s, Morehouse graduate. Let me just say that. That's just to give some background to that. And then I'm going to read another one. And I'm not going to read it all because it is, and I'm not going to say a name. And I kind of found this out when I was doing it, but I haven't been at my best. My mental health has been on a decline. I've been in a deep depression, experienced anxiety, so on and so forth, and all that's associated with that. And, but what struck me about this is that he was concerned that if he even had a discussion amongst us, that, how can I say this nicely, that he didn't want anybody to poke fun at it, or make a negative comment about his mental health. And he says, I hope you understand. And I did. So I'll throw a word in there that he didn't say, but I'll say shame. And so we heard mental health, but that is an example of somebody, actually, I'm trying to deal with it right now. And that person might be watching.
Dr. Marshall, I have a question.
Yes.
So why do you believe, or why do you feel that that person felt that they would be made fun of here in this space? I mean, I think I can imagine in some.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah. That's where that person is right then and there. So that's what I'm trying to find out. I'm trying to be honest with you. I'm trying to find that out. But here's the thing. So let me just answer that by saying, not only don't I know why, but I didn't know that he was going through this. And so a lot of even of the things we're talking about, I don't know that people really know about us as men, that all of this swirls around us.
Yeah.
I think most people know the safety, and I've always said to us about the historical to the present safety, and I've said this, and some of you have heard me say this. For a lot of us, it's not if we get killed, but who kills us? It might be the white man, it might be the police, it might be another brother. That threat to me is ever present, and so. And after that comes everything else. That's my thought. And I just layer this on all of that. I mean, the economic inequality and all that. And it's funny, none of you really mentioned that, but I know that's there for you because we get a second round. Is the whole issue is, and this is something I've been dealing with, especially as someone that works with young men from the beginning, is what it means to be a man.
Can I add something to that?
Be
real
a
quick?
man. I want to be a man, and
not just be a man, be the man.
Well,
and see, and you know what?
Be
That's
somebody.
the
How
thing.
many times have I heard
That's
be
the thing.
somebody?
Mm-hmm.
I want to be somebody, and there's no. It's like it's this aspiration with being that, but having no idea about what it really is at all. I mean, so then you got it.
You know what though? It's another side to that too. It's another side to that too, because a lot of times when people get to a certain point, they feel as though, and I was guilty of this for a long time personally myself. I had to be there for everybody. I couldn't let anybody know that I was I'm kind of doing bad right now personally. So I can't let nobody know that. I got to maintain this image, and I got to keep rolling like this, and I got to keep everything going like that, because I don't want nobody to think that, you know what I'm saying, oh, he kind of slipping right now. He kind of going down right now. You know what I mean? So that's another part of it as well, because I was guilty of that for a long time. I would just go out my way and just try to do everything that I could to just maintain this image until I finally got to the point as to it's like, dude, you're tripping. You know what I'm saying? You're playing with yourself and you're wasting your time with everybody else. So that's another aspect that a lot of people don't really look at all the time as well too. And that's another thing that really gets people kind of caught up as well.
I think I want to answer the question, brother, when he said, why you think, I think being a person of myself that has dealt with mental health, I think he might have felt he would be seen as weak. A lot of us are being told to man up. You know, that's what I was told. Suck it up, laughed at. So I dealt with depression at an early age. I remember family members and other being joked about, teased about it. You know, that they couldn't understand what I was going through or what I was feeling. So I think he's worried about what the other men are going to say. Are they going to laugh at him? Are they going to see him as weak? So I think maybe that's why he did come on.
I would add I know I was embarrassed. I didn't want to tell nobody. I was in the house for 3 or 4 years. I didn't want to tell you, Doc, and you my dad. You know what I mean? I was having nightmares. And I was just in a bad spot for years, and I didn't tell nobody. I mean, you can think about it logically, why not? But it's not logical, you know, because it touches something deeper. It's a part of you that you do not. It's almost by any means you don't want nobody to see this.
At that time when you going through it, you just going through it. That's you can't even step outside yourself right now because you right in the middle and you just going through it.
I think it's hard for a lot of us men to tell our women about the depression because I've seen men say something to their females and or to their girlfriends and wives, and then later on it gets told in the street or it gets made fun of, or when they get into an argument, she throws it in their
Bring it
face.
back.
So a lot of them, they bring, yeah. So
one of the things that I have noticed, and let me add to this, and it fits in, is I want to do it by myself. I don't want to ask for help. I mean, and that's as simple as, it's almost like that's a male thing, but it shouldn't be a male thing. You know, it's all part of this whole thing. And Ashanti, you're probably the guru of all of this stuff. And I know you're sitting back saying, you know, that's, but, and you'll get to this, but this whole thing of not wanting to ask for help is part of being a man. And like, why? I mean, that, you know, if you need help, you need help. And let's layer all this. Let's layer the safety stuff and the, you know, the man stuff. And yeah, and the question is, I don't think that people and I love what you said, Derrick, the whole thing about being made the butt of and the fun of. Does anybody really know the real us? Maybe we don't even know the real us. Go ahead, Derrick. I see you want to say something.
Yeah, I just wondered.
Do you know the real you?
Yeah, I was like, do we know each other? And how much of that is pride? You know, pride, what they say, a fall comes before pride. Like, you know that if you are prideful and you're not willing to ask for help, and you really don't want people to think that you're soft or that you need help, and so a lot of men have that attitude, like, oh, I'm okay, I'm all right, I don't want nobody to see me weak, right? Because they think that asking for help means they're weak, when in actuality, asking for help is the smart way to do it, because we don't have all the the right, all the answers to everything, and then having that person or that you can go to, right, and say, and that influencer, kind of like back to the original question, is like, who in your life can you go to and say, hey, I need some advice, I need some help, I'm in a bad place, and really be able to go to that person. It doesn't have to be if you don't have a dad, it could be a person in your life, it could be a mentor, it could be a pastor or somebody in your church, it could be someone that you feel confident letting them know that you need help. And like going back to the statement about you say it to your girl and everybody know about it, and now she gonna use it against you. So you feel a little bit insecure about going to her, but you need someone to go to where you can have that conversation and get some great advice.
Right. That's straight up, yo.
So how many, go ahead, Ashanti, jump. Go
well, I was thinking, when Lowell talked about safety in terms of like what I heard him talk about is like our bodies, right? Like worrying about ourselves getting killed. I think, I can't watch anymore. I can't, I've seen before all these things were televised. I saw many of shoot 'em up movies that I used to enjoy, but I can't watch a real shoot 'em up. Like I just can't watch it anymore. And I think that when I talk to some men about it, like I feel like I have to like pretend like I'm okay with it, because what I try and say about it, what I really want to say about it is that I freaking have a lot of fear. I have a fear every time I see a police car. I have a fear every time I see any lights flashing behind me, whether they're coming from me or not. Like I have a fear, like my body tenses up. And where do we do with that? When the brother talks about trauma, Jermaine talks about trauma, like when we're dealing with trauma, like some trauma you can see and some trauma is invisible. So what happens to all the invisible trauma that we're not talking about dealing with, we can't even express? Because the people we hang around are all acting like it doesn't bother them. So then we don't talk like it bothers us. And I just think that it's a danger. I think it's a danger. I think it's dangerous. And I've luckily, I'm on a men's team. So every Tuesday night from 7 to 10, I have a group of men that I get to meet with, and I get to take off my mask. I get to take it off. Like I don't have to pretend that everything is good. And I think that so many men don't have that. And so they walk around all the time like they got it all together. And I think that's somebody said hypertension. That's what Malcolm said, hypertension and stress. Like, what do you do with that? It's in your body. It's in there. And it's gonna go somewhere. It has no choice. And I think that we just need places where we can go and take off these masks, because that armor gets heavy. It gets heavy. And I think that's something that is can't be underestimated.
Ashanti, say that statement. And I've said this differently, but you hit me with this. It made it even more stark when we talk about men. Did you say something like 94% of the prison population is male? Is that what you said when you were talking the other?
Yeah, 94%.
Let that resonate with all of us. 94% of the prison population is men. I could go to the domestic violence statistics, but I just can't get my head around that. Is either we are just seriously flawed as a species, or there's something going on. Well, some people have said we are.
I know, but I'm just gonna say we get played. We really do.
Every time.
We get played all the time.
Every time.
That's a great statement. We get played all the time. Jermaine says every time. We get played and we play into the playing. Is that a good way to put it?
Yep.
So just for a point of clarification, and I know this is men's night out.
Please.
But a lady just stepped in the barbershop.
Okay.
When you say played, what do you mean?
What do I mean? I'm sure everyone's got.
I'm just asking just for a point of clarification.
Jermaine, what were you thinking?
Well, we get played on the educational level. We get played on the housing level. We get played on the average median income for Black folks in San Francisco is, I believe, between 15 and 30,000. I think white folks start off at 80,000 up to 150,000 just on average. We still don't get the loans that we need to be getting to get home ownership and stuff like that. As far as the educational system is concerned, as far as the disproportionality of folks of color, Black and brown folks going into the jails and the county and penitentiary system. So, like I said, we get played all the time, every time. We still going through it today. They talking about reparation.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing you say when you say you get played, what you're saying is that we're not treated equally. We're mistreated. We're maligned. We don't get the fair pay. We don't get the fair treatment. We get. Is that what I'm? That's what I'm hearing.
Mrs. Still,
we're at the bottom of the totem pole.
Because see, played is that general word that you use to describe. Well,
let somebody else.
When I first said it, what I meant was we get played to who we are, to what we are, to what we're capable of. We come in and there's a box set up, and somebody's already decided what we're gonna be. We're all this out here, but we have to somehow funnel it into this little thing, and then hopefully in our life along the way we realize, oh, I'm actually not all this little stuff.
Okay, so the decision is made about who you are, what you can do, what you can't do, what you're not gonna do, what you're worth, what you're not worth. And so before you even get to show or demonstrate, that decision is already made.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to
that's what I meant.
Okay.
Anybody else have a response to that? We getting played. Peace.
Well, when I said that,
Spike Lee movie. Oh,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Go ahead, Derrick. Derrick, go ahead.
When I said we're getting played, I said it's what we glamorize. I think there's a 3-step process, right? First, you remove the male from the home. Okay. 2, you glamorize drug dealing and shooting people up. And then 3, there's no influence, no other person to correct your path. So first comes influence, then comes vision. So you're influenced by something, and then vision comes and you see yourself doing something. So if you're all of a sudden, there's no male influence in the home, let's just say, And we all know about the criminal justice system and how unfair it is, right? And so now you're influenced by something. What do you see? The drug dealer with the money, or the sports guy, or whoever that's flashing money. And then now the vision happens. I see myself doing this. Now, once you got that vision, what happens? You go forward. Now the consequences happen that they don't show is what happens to the consequences when you go down that vision, you go down that road. So I say that's how we're played, is because we're being shown what's glamorized, what may or may not be the best thing for us.
Right. So the question for me, the next question is, how often do men play into how they're getting played?
Every day.
And what would happen if men stopped playing into that play?
Oh, the world would be a greater place than it is right now.
Well, there wouldn't be 94% of us.
There certainly would be 94. Yeah, that's like waking up. It's like when you realize, hold on, I'm just getting played, and I'm playing into this playing, you know what I mean? And so when we stop playing into the play, then things change.
And I use the phrase, we collude in our own oppression. I mean, that's the big phrase I use, the same thing that you're saying. But to do that, we have to start to have these discussions and admit that we're getting played, right? And we are colluding because, and I use the barbershop as this analogy, but we don't have these kind of conversations in the barbershop. We get to a certain place, but we don't go any farther. And we're patted on the back and have the haircut and we go. And so
that's it's glamorized, you know, it's stylized, it becomes cool when it really isn't. You know, this is what we're supposed to do when you really shouldn't.
Exactly.
And it's all designed to keep you from being the brilliant you that they've been afraid of from day one. Here's my other question. I just need, and then I'm going to be the silent lady in the room. Hold on. Here's my question. It was, what about being a man? You know, that I'm a man. Being a man has impacted. We're not going to get to this tonight. And I hope Dr. Marshall does this next Sunday. That's what I'm advocating, that we're back next Sunday. But what about being a man has impacted, infected, impeded, and inhibited you from being human? Because somehow being a man separates you from being, cuts off you from being human. So that's something just to hold on to that for me.
So I want you
Dr. Marshall,
hold
back
that question and type that question, because I did say this was going to be part one. So hold on to that, you guys. I want to throw something else into the mix that is rarely talked about, and Jermaine talked about trauma. And these are things I have found out in talking to men that, you know, the 94% that you talked about, Ashanti, the mask, and you know, that was such, that concept I think just speaks to us so well, to getting played. But I have talked to so many men, and this was such a topic that never was brought up, who have themselves been molested. And I came out with girls, but when I began to find, you talk about trauma and shame and all of that, that was never even mentioned. And then I would have conversations that would pop up and people would say, yeah, that happened to me and I was a boy. And I was molested. So I'm dumping that, I'm putting that on top of everything. All the things that have happened to us, that when we even tell, we don't tell our boy, I don't know who we tell that to. In fact, I don't know how I found out. I really don't. I found out because it just, maybe it was one of them conversations and it came tumbling out. And then I said, whoa, you know, this, because I've been used to that, hearing that from them, and I knew the impact on that. And we're not even dealing with the historical factors here, right? This is 2021, but 2021 is on top of
historical
16,
trauma.
1721 and 1821 and 1921 and 2021. And Ashanti, I love you one because to me, and Jermaine knows it because he goes back further than anybody with me here than my own son, is we walking around faking it like we got it all together. Because we have to act like we got it all together. I will use one scene. And this scene hit me like a ton of bricks. How many of you have seen, and this is Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. And I was talking to Mrs. Stell about the other day. How many of you have seen that? Chadwick Boseman, Viola Davis.
Good movie.
But I'm going to show you. So in this film, Ma Rainey is this great blues singer. And she's I don't want to say the Beyonce of the day, but she's the, that's her thing. She has a band and she's going in to record with this, this white producer, and they're recording the song. And clearly, that this white guy controls everything. And you know that. I mean, this is 1920, right? And Ma wants to do her thing. And Chadwick Boseman plays this hotshot trumpet player who's like, Ma, let me, I'm gonna jazz up your music. I'm gonna play some different notes and take our band to the next level. And Ma's like, hell no, you play well, I want you to play, So he's frustrated because Ma won't let him do his thing. But he has this idea to start his own band. And he's gonna start his own band. So he goes to the producer, the white man, and says, look, man, I want to start my own band. I got some new songs. It's gonna be good. I need is a chance. And the white guy says, okay, let me think about it. Let me think about it, man. Let me think about it. Let me get through with Mom. Do this thing. We'll have a talk. We're talking. We're talking. He said, this is my dream. This is my dream. This is my dream. And he plays a few notes and he says, okay. So Ma does her thing, the band, and this is all shot in one afternoon, by the way. The whole movie is in one afternoon. And then he goes back to the white man. And the white man says, okay, this is done. Now let's talk business. And the white man says, nah, well, I don't know nobody's gonna really like that music. I know what I said, but I changed my mind. He says, what? This is my dream. You changed my mind. You can't do this to me. He says, okay, good. I tell you what, I'll buy your songs. I'll buy your music. I'll buy your music. He's discouraged. He's so hurt, man. He's like, he says, okay, man, I'll sell you my songs. And he says, well, this is how much, this is what my music is worth. This is what I got to pay for. I'm top dollar. And the man said, no, I ain't paying all that money for that. And he lowballs him on the price. And he gives him dirt cheap pennies for his music. The next thing you see is that this white producer has taken his music and started his own band and used all of his music, and now the band's a big deal. So Chadwick, who plays the trumpet player, is hurt. And he goes back down and says, God, how could you do this to me? I've always tried God of you. And he's really God as you forsaken me. I mean, he's into God, you have forsaken me. And he's mad at the bandmates. He's mad at the world. And, and he had just bought some new shoes. Now listen to this, new shoes. And his bandmate steps on his shoes. He has his white Stacey Adams. And he gets them a little bit dirty and he goes crazy. And I'm watching this and I'm saying, this is 1920 and brother's still going crazy because you stepped on their shoes, right? Man, you stepped on my shoes. Why you stepped on my shoes, man? And his other boys are saying, man, it's just a shoe, man. It's just a shoe. It's just a shoe. And the brother says, look, man, and he finally says, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I stepped into the exit. What else do you want me to say? So what else you want me to say, fool? Come here. And he takes a knife out and he stabs his own bandmate. The same man who was being oppressed by the same person that is oppressing him. I almost cried. Because we take out our pain
On each other.
On each other.
Because he really wanted to go Latrell Sprewell on that producer.
He really, no, that's what he needed to do, but because of society structures, but he couldn't figure out.
But he couldn't do it.
Not my enemy, brother. We in the same boat. Let's band together. I mean, that is so much. And he equated, and he was this manhood search and this mass search. It was all there in this one scene, and I'm like, it was 1920, and it's 2021. And what did you say, Malcolm? You walking down the street and you still feel the same
exactly
thing. Ain't that something?
Mm-hmm.
I gotta ask you guys. And Mr. Still asked for part 2 next week. I wasn't gonna ask you, but have you ever had a conversation like this in the barbershop? Have you ever had a conversation like this? And I'll start. I'm in a fraternity. I'm in a bunch of black male organizations. I have even come close to having this kind of sustained conversation with those men.
There's an organization called the Confess Project that is really starting to take off around the country. And they're trying to bring this work into the barbershop, like equipping barbers with mental health training so that they can just have conversations with boys and men. And they're called the Confess Project. I'll put them on the Facebook page so that people can check it out.
I think that's great. That is great.
Yeah. Thank you, bro.
One of the things that Ashanti said earlier is, where can we go? You said so much has been shared tonight, which is so powerful. You talked about the thing that's the man thing, not wanting to ask. That's not just a man thing. That's a human thing. Because there's a lot of people who don't want to ask, because asking means something. And we live in a society that's so judgmental, so critical, and we spend so much time being concerned about what somebody else is saying or thinking about what I just said and how I looked and how I said it and all that kind of stuff. But to be able to be in a space that's created where you can be safe.
Right.
Know that there is no judgment. Everybody's got a story, and your story is sacred. And it's held in a sacred space. People know that, I haven't always been professional. Yes, I've accomplished a lot of things, but it wasn't always that way. I'm Delta Sigma Theta, but that didn't happen when I graduated in college. We look at each other and we decide who we are. We know it's not right, but we don't stop and say, hey, look, man, all right, baby, I'm a baby girl. I'll say baby. Now there's got to be a better way for us to do this. Can we find a better way? But we don't do that because we've decided. So it's important to have the space. And if we can't have that space, then why can't we be that space? And we can begin now until we meet back for part 2. Be that space for that somebody to be able to just, yeah, I see how you feeling, brother. Well, you mean you see how I'm feeling? Well, maybe I don't see how you feeling, but I just want you to know that I'm here. If you need to talk, I'm here. And then how can I be that space? Ask somebody. Ask somebody. Or even if we can't ask, guess what we can do? We can listen. But not just listen, but hear. Not just hear, but listen. So that it's not just in our head, but it drops down to a different place. That's the stuff that makes us human. How about being human? I remember when Barack Obama said, we so busy trying to be men. You got to be a man. Why not just be a good human being? Is that possible? So, yeah, part 2, next Sunday. Are you all available?
Yes, indeed.
Thumbs up.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
How you guys feeling right now? How you guys feeling? I didn't know how this was going to turn out, but just say how you feeling. You know,
feeling blessed to be with y'all.
Yeah, straight
This
blessing.
ain't no barbershop. This ain't no regular. You already know this ain't no regular barbershop. So.
Anybody, Lowell, how you feeling? Lowell, how you feeling?
I got my clippers right here.
How you feeling, Lowell?
These kind of conversations are rare, but they're absolutely necessary. So yeah, we need to be the people that are spearheading these kind of conversations, you know, amongst our various peer groups. And I feel like I'm somebody who does that. I'm in, you know, various group chats with friends of mine from college and whatnot, and I'm always the one. I mean, there's a few of us, but I'm definitely one of the main people that's always like, I don't want to say making woke commentary, but you know, honestly wanting to hear other brothers' feedback, you know, about topics that concern us, you know, and a lot of them have kids, and I always think about them, you know, more so because about the way that they're raising their kids in this next generation, and I don't want to see them have to deal with these same things that we're going through. So it's very necessary, and very glad to be a part of it.
Dejohn, how you feeling? You're the youngster in the group, and this is important to us.
Yeah, I feel I would really agree with Lowell. I really feel like this is necessary and like really inspiring. I didn't really start having these conversations like as of recently, and I just feel like they're like really. It's really good to talk about it and get to talk about it and kind of just getting back to reflect and also hear other people's stories. You know, as a Black man, we don't really have this opportunity often, so I feel like it's really like good to, you know, just sit here and talk and just listen. It's like really inspiring for me, and I'm available for next week.
Ashanti, I know how you feel because you love this. This is your work.
I'm just thankful to be in this space. So I love it. I feel optimistic. I think if you know, Dr. Marshall, you have a platform that can change the world, right? And I think maybe this is the start of something even that you didn't even know you were starting. So thank you.
Ayinde, how you feeling?
Likewise, I'm feeling blessed. I'm definitely excited. It's, you know, sometimes it's kind of like when you hear and are reminded of like just all the adversity that we deal with, like since our coming to this country. It's like sometimes it can seem overwhelming, but conversations like this where we just kind of identify our issues and see, like as Mrs. Stell came in and said, like where can we be a space to someone else, and not only does that help the other person and kind of start breaking up that cycle, but it also helps us too, and it helps us relate that much more closely to our brothers and sisters. So I'm inspired, and just like we go back every Tuesday to get that medicine, that's like that medicine for me. Like every time we're in this space where it's a facilitated conversation and we're kind of trying to constructively find ways and ideas to get out of the situations that we're in, that just lifts me up. So it's hard to explain, but I feel full. Yeah.
Derrick, how you feeling?
Doc, I feel great, man. I feel blessed. Just for opportunity just to be able to talk like this openly, right? Mm-hmm. And be able to have people that you can relate to, that you can open up to, that you can share, you know, who you are with. And I think that's what we all have to get to. We got to get to that space where we feel safe. We can ask questions, not be judged, and just get to the point where we can get those answers to the questions that we have in our mind, because someone has been through where you're going. And I think that is the big key, is that's the big disconnect. Like when you start asking questions, who do you go to ask those questions? Because the answer is going to take you down either a good path or a bad path. And so being able to really have a safe group where you can ask those questions is super exciting for me.
Malcolm, how you feeling?
Which Malcolm?
No, Malcolm Mobley. I'm sorry, I forgot.
Hey, that's a good problem to have. Too many Malcolms.
Right. I feel great. This is, yeah, like everybody else said, this is a very important conversation to have, and this is like, the next step towards, or the first step towards the change that we want to see. Um, and I'm always learning. I feel like I soaked up a lot of knowledge today, and for me, I feel like I'm coming out of this a better person, and I hope that everybody else on here, feels the same way.
Stefan?
I feel great. I feel great. I think this is wonderful. I just want to comment on Jermaine's comment about being played. And I think for me, it's answer Lady Estelle's question. It's being a Black man and being told. I remember being when I was younger. You can be anything you want to be. You think and you do what you're supposed to do. And you get there and find out that there is no level playing field. And I think a lot of us were hurt by that because we've been told, especially the guys who really did the work of trying to be good and do the right thing. They get there and the level playing field is not there. So they say, well, the hell, I'm going back to the streets. So I just want to know that. I think that's what Jermaine is trying to say. I think, hope I'm right, Jermaine.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jermaine, how you feeling?
I'm feeling great. This is a beautiful thing. It reminds me of our old school family meetings back in the day. Yep. And the space is so important. Like it was stated, the space is so important that you can take that mask off and just be yourself and be comfortable with being you and just keep it real. So yeah, this is a beautiful thing and I'm with it all the way.
And Malcolm Marshall, how you feeling?
Jermaine said it. Feel like leaving Omega meeting circa 1990, 91. Back at the neighborhood house.
Yeah, for real.
It's just when your heart gets filled up.
Man,
and
right, yeah.
Whenever that happens, you just give God the glory. So I appreciate y'all. And I hear the song Goody by Goody Mob, Soul Food, is playing in my head. Come and get your soul food. All right. This is what I keep hearing.
So sincere now, did I leave anybody, miss anybody? Ask how you feeling. I get everybody. So just like the Tuesday nights or the Sunday nights or the Street Soldier shows, or we just be on Monday night. When you leave, we always tried to give you something to hold you until you came back, right? Because the world you're going to walk back into after you get off of this is exactly the world that you're trying to get away from, right? Soon as you heard that next song, it's gonna bring up all the stuff, all the images that you're talking about. You see money thrown up in the air, you're gonna hear about hit this and hit that, all that stuff, and you're gonna write that role is gonna be right in front of you. So remember this genuine moment, that this is who you really are and you're trying to become. That's what you got to hold on to. Because it's easy to be sucked back into that or to feel like you're out of step or out of place or whatever, but you're not. These are genuine and real human, I like still, or conversations that we as men need to have. We want to cut into that 94%. If we want to cut into that trauma, if we want to cut into the taking out our pain on other brothers and our women, we got to do this. We got to do this. And so remember that. This is who you are. This is a place to do it. And I love that. Be an example of what you want to see. Because if you want it, those other brothers who are acting like they don't want it too. They just need to see it from another brother. Let's see, you want to wrap it up?
I think you wrapped it up.
Yeah. So thank you. Love all of y'all, man. You have no idea. I love all of y'all. All of y'all. Love, I'm telling you, I love my brothers and my sisters, but tonight is my brother. So thank you.
Wait,
I'll be in touch.
Can I just, Lady Steph, can you just say it one time? This is the Lady Steph asking you to, I just want to hear you say that while I'm on.
What is it that you want me to say?
This is the Lady Steph asking you to, your little.
You gotta wrap up, take us home,
lady. Just say that little piece. Say that one little sentence. This Lady Steph asking you to consider this. How you say that?
Absolutely.
Oh, bless your heart. I can't say it better than Dr. Marshall did. And that is to be what you want to see, because it's already in you. Let it come through you. Let the change happen, because it's going to make a difference in everybody. It's going to change the world. We've got it. Let's do it. This is Lady Estelle asking you to consider this.
Thank you.
Y'all, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. Hope
Good
to
night.
Well, love. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you, Ann.
Good night. Thank you.
Everybody.
Good night.
Nice
Thank
to
you,
meet all
Garey.
of you.